Hola chicos, we're going to continue our accent mark rules. And my last video, I went over when you should use accent marks when it comes to which syllable is stressed. And what we did was we put accent marks whenever it violates our rule. And this is the most common use of accent marks, is when you have you need to know which syllable is stressed. And if it follows the rules, there won't be an accent mark written. And our rule is if a word ends in a vowel, N or S, then you don't write an accent mark if the stressed syllable is on the second to last syllable, because that's the rule. The second to last syllable is stressed when a word ends in a vowel, N or S. So if it follows the rules, no need for an accent mark. If it breaks the rules, then we write an accent mark. So here, on these words right here, these all follow the rules. They're on the second to last syllable is where the stressed syllable is. Good. Here, these words that end in a vowel, N or S, they're not on the second to last syllable, and since it breaks that natural rule, we write accent marks on them. You know, if you need more information on this, go back and watch that other video that I have. But I'm not. That's not what this video is for. But if you need some follow-up, or you're still not sure what I'm talking about, then you need to go watch the other video. The other rule, though, if a word doesn't end in a vowel, N or S, so any other word besides vowels, N or S, or any other letters besides a vowel, N or S at the end of a word, like L, Z, and R, D, those words are going to have the stressed syllable, should be on the last syllable. So here it is, here it is, here it is, and here it is. And that's why there is no accent marks. But here, it's on the second to last syllable, as it is here, here, and here. And since it's not on the last syllable where it should be, then we require a written accent mark. So, but really the purpose of today's video is to go into other uses of accent marks. And I'm going to start off with what we do is we have these diphthongs or diphthongs. You'll hear them pronounced either way. And it is not a fancy bathing suit. It is a grammar term talking about a blending of two vowels to make one sound. So in this word, this one is probably one of the most commonly mispronounced words because of not recognizing what to do with accent marks or when they don't have an accent mark. So a lot of people pronounce this word right here as pharmacia. Now, pharmacia is not correct. That is not the way you pronounce this word for a couple of reasons. But the big reason is right here, the I and the A. The I and the A blend together to form one syllable, one sound. This is sia. And farmacia. Farmacia is how you actually pronounce that, sia. That I and A blend together to make one sound. Where, let's look at a very similar type of word is right here. This word now, this G-I, the spelling at the end is I-A together. I and A go together just like they do here, I and A. However, this syllable or this letter I has an accent mark over it. So what we do is when we put an accent mark over two vowels, we put them over one of them. When we have two vowels together, when we put the accent mark on the I here, what we're doing is separating those two vowel sounds into separate sounds. So I and A together go together to make one sound. I with an accent mark, then an A, those separate and make two separate sounds. So this would be pronounced biología, hi-a, versus farmacia, sia, hi-a, sia. These the I and A blend together to make one sound, but when they have an accent mark on the I with that I-A combination, the I and A are separated to make separate vowel sounds, hi-a. Same thing happens here. We've got the word this S-U-C-I-O. We've got I-O together. That's going to make one sound. I-O together again, but an accent mark is going to make two different sounds. We're going to separate those vowels. So here we've got sucio, su-sio, sio. Blends together, C-I-O, sio, or tio. Here we separate it and it becomes frio. It's not frio, frio, it's frio, frio. So this is not serving the same purpose that we had with our previous lesson, where this is the second to last syllable. This is where the stressed syllable should be already. it doesn't matter. So this does not tell us which syllable to stress. It tells us to separate our vowel sounds. So we want to have an E sound and we want to have an O sound. Here, that's not the case. We are going to put the I and the O together to make one sound, sio. The stressed syllable is the second to last syllable still. That's why there's no need for an accent mark. It's su, sio, su, sio. That's where the stressed syllable is. Here, again, second to last syllable is stressed, which is where it should be anyway. There's no need for an accent mark for that rule, but we have the accent mark here to say, pronounce this as he and then We're going to separate those two sounds. He, biología, as opposed to having biología. You know, that's not the word, it's biología. So we have to have E and as separate sounds, but here E and blend together to make sia, you know, farmacia, farmacia. Second to last syllable is stressed on the M and A. Now, when you have a word that is just one syllable or monosyllabic, when that is the case, that's the only stress there is. So our natural rule is to just write the word without an accent mark because, you know, so there's only one place where the stress syllable could be because there's only one syllable to the word. Pan, mar, dos. There's only one spot to have the stress syllable, so there's no need to write an accent mark with monosyllabic words. So you may be thinking right now that you've seen other words that do have accent marks. You know, you may have seen tu and tu. Now, so there are times where you are going to see words that have one syllable that do have an accent mark. So you see the first one here, tu, without the accent mark, that is your. It's a possessive adjective. Tu with the accent mark is, they're not pronounced any differently. Tu, tu. They're the same exact pronunciation. The accent mark there, it's obviously not to tell us which syllable to stress. It is there only to tell us that this is, the first one without the accent mark is a possessive adjective. With the accent mark is a subject pronoun. So it's to differentiate between different parts of speech. You may have seen se as a pronoun and you've seen se as a verb. Again, one syllable, so there's no need. The accent mark doesn't do anything with where to stress the word, separating vowels. It doesn't follow those first two rules. It is its own thing. So whenever you have one syllable, there are no accent marks unless it is to differentiate between parts of speech. So you might see they with a preposition, they with as a verb. You may see me as a possessive adjective or me as a prepositional pronoun. It's going to have an accent mark on it. So when you see these words with accent marks, oftentimes they are, when it's just a one syllable word, its only purpose is to show us that it is a different part of speech. And it has nothing to do with which syllable is stressed. And sometimes you'll see words that don't necessarily just have one syllable, like in este and in este. So right here, these both exist, these words. One of them is this right here is actually the demonstrative adjective, and this is the demonstrative pronoun. So again, now if you look at this is the stressed syllable. It ends in a vowel, este. The stressed syllable should be the second to last syllable, and if it's not, we write an accent mark. Well, this seems to be, that doesn't seem to follow our rules because this is where the stressed syllable should be already. Why are we writing a written accent mark? Because this is just to differentiate between the este as an adjective without the accent mark and este as a demonstrative pronoun with the accent mark. So another purpose of accent marks is not just to separate vowel sounds or show which syllable is stressed. It's also to show that it's a different part of speech.